What if the best year of your life came first and never came back? In a game built on long seasons and longer careers, some players don't get second acts. They don't decline slowly. They don't fade. They explode once and vanish. One perfect season, one streak of lightning across the sky, and then silence. These are the stories of baseball's most unforgettable ghosts, the one-season wonders. They weren't built to last, but for one moment, they burned brighter than the legends. Baseball is a game of ritual, of rhythm, of repetition. 160 games where greatness emerges slowly, gradually, reliably, over time. But sometimes the game breaks its own rules. Sometimes a player bursts through the gates like a comet, spectacular and singular, only to vanish as suddenly as they arrived. No decline, no fade, just 1 year, one season, one flash of brilliance that outshines a career. These players leave behind stat lines that look like typos, rookie campaigns that feel like hallucinations, and stories that feel half-finished but unforgettable. They are the game's most fascinating mystery, the one-season wonders. Are they flukes, victims of injury, mirages built by small sample sizes and hot streaks? Or are they proof that anyone just once can grab the bat, toe the mound, and play like the best in the world? This is a story not of consistency, but of chaos, not of legacy, but of lightning, and no one embodied that lightning like Ubaldo Jiménez. In 2010, he didn't just pitch well, he pitched like a man trying to rewrite the laws of physics. In April alone, he threw the Rockies' first ever no-hitter, averaging nearly 97 miles per hour on his fastball, touching 100 on 3 separate occasions. He won 11 of his first 12 games and threw 11 starts. He owned the lowest era in Major League history, 0.78. That's not just dominance. That's dominance in a hitter's park at Coors Field while facing playoff contenders. That season, he posted a 2.88 era, 214 strikeouts, and finished third in Cy Young voting. It was his only All-Star selection. His reward, a career that would never touch those heights again. In his next 7 seasons, he went 64-81 with a 4.85 era. Ubaldo Jiménez didn't slowly fade, he dropped off a cliff. And yet, to Rockies fans, he'll always be the man who touched 100 and made the impossible look easy for 1 year. Some careers unfold like stories, with arcs and setbacks and eventual triumph. Miguel Andújar's didn't unfold, it erupted. For a few dazzling months in 2018, it felt like the Yankees had struck gold again, like the ghosts of Ruth and DiMaggio were smiling down on this young third baseman with wrists like coiled springs. He wasn't just good, he was historically good. In April alone, he joined Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle as the only Yankees under 24, with extra base hits in 7 consecutive games. That's not a footnote. That's an omen. He ended the season with 47 doubles, a Yankees rookie record, and a slash line of .297, .3-8, .5-7 with 27 home runs. This wasn't just a hot start. It looked like the foundation of a future all-star. He finished second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Shohei Ohtani. That season alone netted him to .8 WAR, his current career total. And then, like a magician revealing the wires, the illusion disappeared. A shoulder injury, inconsistent playing time, defensive struggles. By 2019, he was in the Yankees' future. He was a depth piece. His swing still looked sweet, but the results turned bitter. He hasn't played a full season since his best post-2018 campaign, 2024, with a modest .85 average and 86 hits. In 75 games, not terrible, but galaxies away from his rookie stardom. The question with Andújar isn't what went wrong. It's why couldn't that magic stick? The truth may lie in the margins. Injuries that didn't fully heal, a game that evolved around him, a defense that couldn't keep up. Sometimes the talent is real, but the opportunity fleeting. In the Bronx, where legends are either crowned or crushed, Andújar's star rose too fast and burned out before it had a chance to settle. Some players become legends because of what they did. Mark Fidrych became a legend because of how he did it. In 1976, he wasn't just a rookie pitcher, he was a phenomenon. A burst of color in a black and white game, with his mop of curly blonde hair, his habit of talking to the baseball, and his tendency to manicure the mound with his hands between pitches. Fidrych wasn't just pitching, he was performing, and somehow, behind the quirks and charisma, he was also utterly dominant. In his debut season with the Detroit Tigers, he led all of Major League Baseball with a 2.34 ERA, threw 20 for complete games, and finished with a 19-9 record. His WAR that year, a staggering 9.6, the best in the league. He made the All-Star team. He was named Rookie of the Year, and he finished second in Cy Young voting, behind only Jim Palmer. America fell in love. His games sold out stadiums, even on the road. He appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone. He was the Bird, and he was baseball's beating heart. But in 1977, his arm betrayed him. He made just 9 starts before disappearing from the rotation. The real tragedy, no one knew why. His torn rotator cuff wasn't diagnosed until 1985, nearly a decade later. For years, Fidrych tried to gut it out, to pitch through the pain. But the Bird, who once soared, became a grounded myth. He retired in 1981 at just 29 years old, having never recaptured the magic of his rookie season. Mark Fidrych didn't just flame out, he was failed by the game's medical blind spots, by the era he played in, and yet, in those few months, in 1976, he gave fans something most Hall of Famers never do: pure, unfiltered joy. If baseball had a VH1 Behind the Music episode, Joe Charboneau would be the headline act. He entered the majors at 25 years old in 1980, already carrying the aura of a folk hero. He fixed his own broken nose with pliers. He drank beer through his nose for laughs. He was stabbed in an exhibition game in Mexico and played through it. He was chaos in cleats, and Cleveland loved him. But Joe Charboneau wasn't just a novelty act. He could hit. In his rookie year, he batted .289 with 23 home runs and 87 RBIs, leading his team in long balls and swagger. He was named a Rookie of the Year and became an overnight sensation. Cleveland fans sang about him. Literally, Go Joe Charboneau climbed the local radio charts. He was the blue-collar version of Fernando Mania, but like so many wonders, his body couldn't match his myth. In spring training of 1981, he injured his back, a small tweak at the time, but the beginning of the end. His bat slowed, his swing flattened. By midseason, he was hitting .208, and then the strike hit. When the season resumed, Charboneau was demoted, the first Rookie of the Year ever sent back to the minors. The following season, he made a few desperate comeback attempts, but the spark never reignited. He played only 201 Major League games. That's not a typo. He remains the Rookie of the Year with the fewest career games played in MLB history. Joe Charboneau didn't lose his talent, his body lost the ability to express it. His story is a paradox, larger than life, but painfully brief. In just 1 year, he gave Cleveland a reason to cheer, and then he was gone, leaving behind only lore, not legacy. Baseball doesn't often reserve its spotlight for catchers. Their glory is in grit, not glamour. But in 1993, Rick Wilkins broke the mold. That year, he did something only 3 catchers in MLB history had ever done before: hit over .300 with 30 home runs. In a sport where backstops are praised for handling pitchers and blocking wild throws, Wilkins decided to hit like an MVP. With the Cubs, he slashed .303, .376, .561, smashed 30 homers, and posted a jaw-dropping ops plus of 151. That single season was worth 6.6 WAR, nearly half of his career total. For a brief, golden moment, Rick Wilkins wasn't just another guy behind the plate. He was an offensive weapon, the kind of player you built a middle lineup around. But that moment didn't last. After 1993, he never came close to replicating that production. In fact, he never batted over .300 again. He never hit more than 14 homers in a season again. His WAR in every year after that never exceeded 1.5. by the numbers. He reverted to being what most catchers are: serviceable, replaceable, a movable piece in the league's bottom half. Wilkins bounced from team to teammate in total over 11 seasons, including stints with the Dodgers, Astros, and even the Mariners. He was a classic journeyman with one bizarrely beautiful spike on his baseball resume. The 1993 season wasn't a springboard to stardom, it was a statistical UFO. No injuries derailed him. No scandals followed. Just a player who caught fire once, burned hot, and never caught flame again. Rick Wilkins remains a reminder that baseball sometimes gives you one brilliant chapter and leaves you wondering why the rest of the book feels unfinished. Relievers live on the edge. One blown save can ruin a week. One great stretch can define a year. But Mark Davis didn't just have a good year in 1989, he had the kind of season that made history. That year, pitching for the San Diego Padres, Davis notched an MLB leading 40 for saves with a career-best 1.85 ERA. He was so dominant, so unflappable in the ninth inning, that he did something almost no closer ever does. He won the Cy Young Award. At the time, only 3 other closers in MLB history had ever done that. He wasn't just putting up saves, he was shutting teams down with a kind of rhythmic finality. Hitters didn't just lose to Mark Davis in 1989, they were erased. And then, like the pressure that builds under the surface of a perfect era, everything collapsed. Davis was traded to Kansas City the following year, and the sharpness vanished. His command wavered, his confidence shrunk, and the fire that had lit up the National League dimmed. From 1990 onward, he never posted another sub-3.0 era. His career era ballooned to 4.17, and he finished with a 51-80 for record. For a closer, that win-loss record is a curiosity. He didn't lose as a starter, but he found ways to lose nonetheless. He retired with just 7.9 WAR total, and more than half of it came from that one spectacular season. Unlike other one-season wonders who broke through as rookies, Davis had to reinvent himself as a reliever to even find his peak. But once he reached it, he couldn't hold on. His 1989 campaign stands as one of baseball's most enigmatic performances. A closer who touched the mountaintop, then disappeared into the fog. If there were an award for the most unexpected explosion of power, Eric Thames would have claimed it in April 2017. Before that, he was barely a blip on the radar of former Blue Jays and Mariners outfielder who vanished from the majors and rebuilt his career in South Korea. And then, out of nowhere, he returned to MLB like a cheat code. In his first month back, Thames went on a tear that made pitchers genuinely nervous and fans delirious. He hit 11 home runs in 24 games, batted .3 for 5, and posted a mind-melting 1.76 ops. At one point, he homered in 5 straight games, including a multi-homer night against the Reds. It was so surreal that MLB drug tested him 3 times in 10 days. The Brewers, stunned and thrilled, had found their secret weapon, but April faded, and so did Thames's nuclear bat. While he still finished the season with 31 home runs and a .518 slugging percentage, the early season fire gave way to streaky, inconsistent production. He never hit over .50 in a full season again. He remained a decent power bat, but never elite. By the time he retired in 2023, he had 96 career home runs, nearly a third of which came in that 2017 comeback season. Thames wasn't a fluke so much as a flash, a man who reconstructed himself overseas, came back stronger, and for a brief window, made every at-bat feel like an event. He proved that one good month can change a career, even if it doesn't build one. Some one-season wonders ride hot streaks, others ride hype. Dallas Braden wrote a hangover and a dream into baseball history on May 9th. 2010 Mother's Day, Braden took the mound for the Oakland Athletics with a pounding head, not high expectations. The night before, he'd reportedly been out late, but what followed that morning was one of the rarest feats in sports. A perfect game, 27 up, 27 down, no walks, no hits, no errors, not even a whiff of doubt. Braden faced a stacked Tampa Bay Rays lineup and and retired every single batter on just 107 pitches. But the perfection wasn't just statistical, it was poetic. Braden had lost his mother to cancer years earlier. He pitched that game in her memory. The raw emotion afterward, the tears, the embrace with his grandmother, it was baseball at its most human. Braden ended 2010 with 11 wins, a 3.50 ERA, and his career best numbers across the board. But just as suddenly as his star rose, it vanished. Shoulder problems began to mount. In 2011, he made only 3 starts. By 2014, he officially retired, unable to overcome the damage. In total, he played only 5 seasons in the majors with a 26-36 record and a career for .16 ERA. But ask anyone who watched that perfect game, and you'll hear a different story of a guy who, for one magical afternoon, was flawless. Braden later transitioned into broadcasting, his voice more familiar now than his curveball ever was. But that moment in 2010 remains his monument. It's not in wins, but in wonder. There's nothing more dangerous in free agency than a player coming off a career year, especially when that player just delivered a season so statistically complete. It looks like a video game simulation. In 2011, Jacoby Ellsbury wasn't just the Red Sox's best player, he was a force of nature. That year, he hit .3-1 with 212 hits, smashed a career-best 30 home runs, swiped 39 bases, and led the entire league in total bases with 364. He finished with 8.3 WAR, joined the 30-30 club, and did something no Red Sox player had ever done before: combine elite contact, power, and speed into a single season without a flaw. He finished second in MVP voting behind only Justin Verlander and won both a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger. Ellsbury looked like the future of baseball: fast, strong, intelligent, and durable. But the future never came. After that season, his numbers began to regress, first slowly, then catastrophically. He never again hit more than 16 home runs in a season. He never again batted over .300. Injuries returned, speed dulled, and power vanished. He had only one more season with over 10 home runs, and never again came close to the magic of 2011. The Yankees, convinced by that outlier season, gave him a $153 million contract in 2014, a deal that would go down as one of the most regrettable in franchise history. Ellsbury played 520 games over the next 7 years, hitting .264 with declining OPS and no postseason glory. But the seeds of disappointment were sown not in New York, but in Boston in that one gleaming season that raised expectations to unreachable heights. Ellsbury was good before 2011, decent after, but for 1 year, he was mythical and myths by nature don't stick around. In baseball's long history, there are careers that build slowly, rise steadily, and eventually crest. Then there are those like Billy Grabarkowitz, a name that feels more like a trivia answer than a star. Yet in 1970, he was one of the most electric hitters in the National League, a utility infielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Grabarkowitz didn't just earn a starting role, he earned an all-star selection by midseason. He was hitting .420 in May, slugging home runs, driving in runs, and showing off remarkable defensive versatility. He finished his breakout season with a .289 average, 17 home runs, 84 RBIs, and a stellar 130-plus ops. He was, at the time, a serious threat to win a batting title, going head-to-head with Roberto Clemente. But what started as a storybook year ended in familiar tragedy, injury. In spring training the very next year, Grabarkowitz suffered a serious arm injury that cost him most of the season. When he did play, he wasn't the same. Later, he broke his ankle so badly that doctors warned his career might be over, and effectively it was. Between 1972 and 1975, he bounced around 5 teams, never hitting over .6 again, never reclaiming the power or promise he showed as a 22-year-old. He retired at 29 with a career batting average of .36 and just 28 total home runs. One season gave him stardom. A few moments of bad luck erased it. Grabarkowitz is the epitome of how fragile success can be, not because he lacked the skill, but because the baseball gods seemed to write their own cruel endings. In the summer of 1990, the Yankees were in the middle of a forgettable season, but then came Kevin Maas, a rookie first baseman with a compact swing and quiet confidence. Maas wasn't even supposed to be the story, but in just 70 at-bats, he slugged 10 home runs. In 133 at-bats, he reached 15. He ended the season with 21 homers in just 79 games and a slash line of .05 to .367, .535. His OPS plus, a scorching 150. Yankees fans, hungry for a new hero, dubbed him the next Mattingly. The Moss Tops cheering section erupted every time he stepped to the plate. He was the Bronx's newest obsession, a rookie with the kind of power that made pitchers flinch and fans dream. But 1990 was the high. Everything after was a painful descent. In 1991, Moss played 148 games, but hit just .220 with 23 home runs. He struck out 128 times and saw his ops fall by nearly 200 points. By 1992, he was bouncing between the majors and minors, and by 1994, the Yankees cut him entirely. A brief stint with Minnesota in 1995 brought little more than a .163 batting average, and his career ended just as suddenly as it began. He finished with a .230 career average and 65 home runs, nearly a third of which came in those 79 magical games. Moss' fall wasn't caused by injury or scandal. He simply couldn't adjust. Pitchers figured him out, and he never figured them back. His swing, once compact and deadly, became predictable. His patience turned to hesitation, and in New York, hesitation is fatal. Kevin Maas became the blueprint for a one-season wonder, a flash of hope, swallowed by expectation, buried under regression. In baseball, timing is everything. Rick Porcello didn't reinvent himself, he just timed everything perfectly. In 2016, after an underwhelming debut season with the Boston Red Sox, where he posted a .490 ERA, he turned around and delivered one of the most dramatic single-season leaps in MLB history. That year, Porcello went 20-4 with a 3.15 ERA and led the league in wins and strikeout-to-walk ratio. His WHIP, a razor-sharp 1.01, the lowest by a Red Sox pitcher since Pedro Martinez. He pitched 3 complete games, racked up 26 quality starts, and won the Al Cy Young Award, beating out none other than Justin Verlander. It was a stunning turnaround. Porcello wasn't flashy. He wasn't blowing hitters away, but he commanded the zone, mixed his pitches brilliantly, and simply didn't beat himself. He was a pitch-to-contact master on a team that gave him run support, and it worked. And then it didn't. In 2017, Porcello went 11-17 with a 4.65 ERA. He led the league in home runs allowed with 38 and saw his WHIP balloon to 1.40. The magic, whatever it was, had vanished. Over the next few years, he became a reliable innings eater, but nothing more. He was serviceable, durable, occasionally decent, but never again special. By 2020, he was out of baseball. He retired with a 150-125 career record and a 4.40 ERA, solid numbers, but hardly indicative of someone with a Cy Young trophy on his shelf. Porcello's 2016 season now lives as a curious outlier, a statistical spike in an otherwise straight line. He didn't flame out like some one-season wonders. He just returned to earth quietly, almost politely, leaving behind one unforgettable year and a career that never again touched it. If you were a Kansas City Royals fan in 1994, Bob Hammond looked like a gift from the baseball gods. Stocky, soft-spoken, and powerful. Hamlin didn't look like your typical Phenom, but he hit like one in a strike-shortened season. He smashed 24 home runs, drove in 65 runs in just 101 games, and batted .282. His slugging made him a threat every time he stepped to the plate. He broke Bo Jackson's team rookie home run record and took home the AL Rookie of the Year award, beating out a young, already hyped Manny Ramirez. His walk-off homer in April kicked off a streak that had Royals fans believing they'd found their next long-term slugger, but behind the box scores, Hamlin was an outlier both in performance and preparation. He famously admitted that his training regimen was essentially play hard, have a few beers after, and it showed. In 1995, the crash was almost immediate. He hit just .168. With only 7 home runs in 72 games, the strike had already disrupted his momentum. Now, his body and bat speed followed. By 1996, the Royals had seen enough. He was released and bounced briefly to Detroit and Milwaukee, but never regained his rookie year form. In 1999, after grounding out in a minor league game, Hamlin called his manager and said simply, "I'm done." He finished his career with a .4 batting average and just 67 home runs, a far cry from the expectations set by his dazzling debut. What makes Hamlin's case so sharp is the contrast. The man who beat Manny, gone before Manny even bloomed. But baseball is a cruel judge of potential, and Hamlin's flash, as bright as it was, never caught fire again. Every name on this list: Jiménez, Andújar, Fidrych, Charboneau, Wilkins, Davis, Thames, Braden, Ellsbury, Grabarkowitz, Maas, Porcello, Hamlin, they all have something in common. They tasted greatness once, just once. They reached heights that most players never touch, not even for a week, not even in spring training. They weren't legends, but they lived like legends for one stretch, 1 month, 1 season. Some were victims of injury, their bodies failing long before their talent did. Some were overwhelmed by expectation, crushed beneath the weight of hype. Others were simply statistical anomalies, a perfectly timed confluence of confidence, health, and opportunity that couldn't be repeated. In baseball, consistency is the true currency of greatness, but flashes, those electric, unforgettable flashes, are often more human because they remind us of how fragile it all is. That even the most dominant April can fade by May. That careers can turn on a sprained ankle or a misdiagnosis or a pitcher figuring you out one too many times. These players aren't failures. They're testaments to how high you can go, even if you only get there once. To how sports, unlike movies or stories, don't always give us tidy endings. And maybe that's why one-season wonders resonate so deeply, because we see ourselves in them. We've all had that one perfect day, that one window where everything just worked. Most of us don't get banners or trophies for it, but we remember it, and we hold on to it, just like baseball fans remember Rick Wilkins' 30 homers, Dallas Braden's perfect game, or Jacoby Ellsbury's 30-30 season, because in a sport built on failure, a moment of brilliance, no matter how fleeting, is a triumph.